I'm going to be holding a hand out for that. But I'm going to be holding this hand that's next to me, and I won't let go of that hand. I will not cut off Robyn to have a relationship with my children.
Don't compare, right? Jealousy and comparison are the death in plural marriage. So you kind of figure out who you are and you get really comfortable with who you are.
It's a real different world, the world that I have with Robyn and our children.
Want to talk about Robyn not crying? Let's dive into that delightful bit of irony, shall we? Grab your popcorn because this is a masterclass in emotional restraint. Let's rewind to those Vegas house meetings, where Robyn didn't shed a single tear, despite hearing that she might not even qualify. Lawyers, realtors, credit repair specialists all basically told her, "You're in deep." And what was Robyn's response? Nothing. Not a sniffle. Not even the faintest attempt to muster some crocodile tears for the cameras. In fact, when the lawyer pointed out that she might not get her finances in order in time, Robyn was all cool, calm, and collected. No tears. Then, in a talking head interview, she casually mentions how she doesn't want her messy divorce to prevent everyone else from getting houses. And yet, still no tears. The credit counselor breaks it down for her. Massive debt, years off the grid, multiple names on her credit report. And yet, Robyn doesn't so much as blink. No tears. Mary, ever the empathetic one, pipes up, "Nobody is judging you. We're in this together." And Robyn just nods like she's at a yoga retreat, fully relaxed. Where's the waterworks? Nowhere to be found. Meanwhile, in the same episodes, the rest of the family is in full-on emotional turmoil. Robyn's bouncing around, practically glowing with excitement about starting her MS Data closet. They're doing photo shoots like it's the happiest day of her life. Janelle's obsessing over whether she can cut down the size of her house. Christine is worried about being house poor, and Mary? Oh, Mary's crying about being judged for wanting a wet bar. But Robyn? Oh, Robyn's just fine. No drama, no tears, nothing. Just good vibes and a healthy dose of denial. Then comes the big moment. Everyone's talking about the financial risks of putting down earnest money, and Robyn. Oh, she's silent. No worries, no opinions. When Kody casually asks, "Who wants to move forward with building these houses?" Robyn's response, without a second of hesitation, she's all, "I do." As if her house and jewelry dreams were already set in stone. The others? Janelle's green with nausea, Christine barely mumbles a yes, and Mary, shocking, agrees while crying. But Robyn, totally unbothered. She didn't even try to fake a tear. She knew the family would figure out the money stuff and make sure she got into her new house. And don't forget about her jewelry collection, which was definitely on the horizon. Why cry when you've got that kind of magic working for you? And just in case you thought this was just a one-off, Robyn didn't shed a tear when Truly almost died either. But why would she? She's found the sacred bill-paying counter, where she can just drop her bills, and poof, they disappear like some kind of financial wizardry. Why would she have a care in the world? Robyn's just out here living the dream, stress-free, while everyone else is spiraling. Not one single fake tear, and that, my friends, is true emotional mastery. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. Popular or unpopular opinion, Janelle's trailer purchase. Alright, let's talk about Janelle's decision to buy the trailer, because honestly, that was a masterclass in bad judgment. I'm not here to defend Kody, because honestly, who would? But I have to admit, he was right about one thing. That trailer was a colossal waste of money. It turned into a total headache, as most of her decisions do. And yet, she got upset with him when he wasn't exactly thrilled about her big purchase. Never mind that she didn't consult him beforehand or get his consent. She just went ahead and did it, like it was some kind of impulse buy at the store. Even Janelle herself admitted it wasn't the smartest move. I'd say it was a classic panic purchase. With her time running out and Kody refusing to have a meaningful conversation about anything, except, of course, the almighty Christine's house, She probably thought buying a trailer would force him into action. But surprise, surprise, Kody wasn't having it. He wasn't interested in talking about anything related to her plans. He left her to figure it out on her own, then had the audacity to complain about her decision. Classic Kody. And of course, Janelle learned absolutely nothing from that disaster. Fast forward to her dragging Maddie and Caleb into an even worse, more expensive decision, buying land. But hey, she didn't think to check if they needed wildlife surveys or permits before starting their grand plans. Oops. Honestly, I think Janelle was just trying to force Kody's hand on the whole building on Coyote Pass thing. But guess what? Kody was already done with the whole Coyote Pass dream. He had checked out. Was it a smart purchase? Absolutely not. But you know what? At least her intentions were good, sort of. Maybe if she could get on Coyote Pass, the others would feel inspired to follow suit. Too bad it was just another in a long line of well-meaning but disastrous decisions. Kody, the king of contradictions. He's all about pointing out how petty it is for Janelle and Christine to talk about a luggage rack. How dare they? But then, in the next breath, he's demanding his t-shirts back from Mary's quilt, which, by the way, she turned into a pretty cool piece of art. How sweet of him. But wait, Robyn's jumping in, wanting to make another memory by making her own quilt with his and her t-shirts. The audacity of these two just never ends. And let's talk about Robyn's crafting skills for a second. Is she even capable? I'm not so sure. I have a sneaking suspicion she thought Mary would just hand over the quilt like it's some sort of pre-made gift. Sorry, Robyn, it's all been cut up and ready to be transformed, but don't hold your breath thinking you'll make anything close to what Mary did. Nope. This is just another petty attempt by Robyn to assert some kind of power over Mary. Because why not dig the knife in a little deeper? But when it comes to pettiness, no one can touch Kody. He's like a mean girl in a man's body, throwing tantrums and gossiping like it's his full-time job. Want to stay his good graces. Tell him he's pretty, cater to his every whim, and bow down to him like he's royalty, or else. If you don't, expect him to spread rumors and lies until you're so worn down, you'll do anything just to avoid the drama. Robyn's idea of safety is so absurd, it almost defies logic. When she says, "We aren't wanted there," and it's not safe, it's clear she's spiraling into a paranoid delusion. What exactly does she think is going to happen? Does she imagine some catastrophic event where someone is going to verbally attack her or, heaven forbid, give her a disapproving glance? Because let's be real, at Logan's wedding, everyone behaved like adults. The same was true at Gwen's shower and her wedding. No disasters. Even Garrison's funeral, everyone acted appropriately. So what's the real danger in Robyn's head? Being ignored? That's not unsafe. And Christine's wedding? Please. That was safe for everyone, including Kody's family. But Robyn couldn't bear the thought of being in a space where she might be made to feel uncomfortable by a few well-deserved side-eyes. Her ego can't handle it. Robyn's imagination can't fathom a scenario where someone might have a negative opinion of her. God forbid someone shows the slightest sign of disapproval, even if it's a facial expression. In her mind, that's a threat. That's unsafe. She simply can't grow up enough to face the reality of being judged like a normal adult would. Let's dig into what she probably thinks is unsafe for her kids. She's spent years filling their heads with the lie that they're unwanted, that the rest of the family doesn't care about them. And now, suddenly, she's worried about their safety at an event they weren't invited to. What does she expect? That Christine's friends are going to kidnap her kids? That someone will unleash a horrific tirade? The idea is delusional. This isn't a family gathering anymore. Christine left the family because Kody was awful to her. The family is no longer what it used to be. This event is about Christine and her loved ones, those who have actually treated her well. The idea that Robyn and Kody are somehow victims here, left out by an unforgiving world, is laughable. They weren't voted off the island or kicked out of the club. No, Kody and Robyn have spent years actively prioritizing themselves above everyone else. They stopped caring about being a family, and the rest of the family noticed. Everyone learned to deal with the fact that they weren't a priority anymore. So now, Robyn is playing the victim, pretending she's the one left out, when in reality, she's the one who caused the divide. What Robyn is truly terrified of, though, is that her kids will discover the truth, that she's the reason they don't have a relationship with their siblings. She's been feeding them this narrative for years that they're outcasts, that no one wants to be around them. She's terrified that if they ever go to an event and witness any interaction, they might hear something, see something, or remember a clip from the show that shatters her carefully crafted lie. What if her children start questioning the reality she's built? That's the real danger in Robyn's eyes. It's not the event itself. It's the risk of her fantasy world falling apart. When Robyn first appeared on Sister Wives, viewers were pretty mixed on her. Some, like you, felt sorry for her in the beginning. She was the newcomer trying to fit into an already established, pretty complicated family dynamic. Honestly, who wouldn't feel bad for her? It looked like she was just trying to find her place, and at first, she came across as a little shy, vulnerable, and, dare we say it, likable. I mean, who wouldn't have a soft spot for someone who seems so earnest and sweet? But as time went on, the way people viewed Robyn really started to shift. You're right in noticing that things have gotten a lot more negative over the years, but this transformation didn't happen overnight. In the early seasons, Robyn wasn't seen as a villain, but there were definitely red flags. And like you, some viewers did start to get a sense that maybe she was overstepping, especially with her frequent commentary on the family's business. It wasn't just that she had opinions, it was that she seemed to constantly put herself in the position of an expert about family dynamics, despite being the newest member. For fans, that kind of behavior didn't sit well. It was like, okay, you've just joined the family, and suddenly you're in charge of setting the tone. Then came the emotional drama. Robyn didn't shy away from showing her tears, especially when her actions hurt the other wives, like Christine, who she knew was struggling with her place in the family. But instead of asking how she could make it better, Robyn's approach often seemed to focus more on how she felt bad about everyone else's pain. The self-victimizing thing started to get under people's skin. It came across as a bit performative, like, I'm so heartbroken they're heartbroken, but never offering a real solution. It didn't help that her emotional outbursts came across as manipulative, as though she wanted sympathy rather than to make genuine amends. Her interactions with the older kids were another point of contention. Fans didn't like how she butted in, particularly when it came to church matters. Robyn trying to dictate which church the kids should attend clashed with what the Browns had promised their kids, freedom of choice. When Maddie pushed back on Robyn's suggestions, viewers saw it as Robyn overstepping her bounds. Again, she was new, she didn't have the authority, and her refusal to respect the kids' autonomy left many people uncomfortable. Then, of course, there was her move to Leahy. Robyn was a grown adult, yet it felt like she needed a whole team of Browns to help her pack up her life and get it together. Her disorganization stood out, especially compared to the Brown kids, who were notably more put together and hardworking. Robyn just wandered around while everyone else did the heavy lifting, which definitely left viewers wondering, is this the kind of person who can handle being part of such a demanding family? So no, Robyn wasn't always seen as the villain, but there were definitely some early warning signs. It wasn't until viewers started noticing patterns in her behavior that the tide really began to turn. The production team may have wanted to paint her as the sweet, innocent new wife, but fans were picking up on a much more complicated story underneath. It wasn't just about Robyn's relationship with the adults. It was about how she inserted herself into the lives of everyone else, and that, over time, got a lot harder to ignore. Mykelti's wedding, a cringeworthy spectacle. Let's talk about Mykelti's wedding, Because wow, where do we even begin? If you just watched that episode, you probably need a moment to recover. Did she really invite 400 people? Yes, she did. But in Utah Mormon culture, that's not exactly shocking. Here's the thing. Mainstream Mormon weddings often happen in the temple, which excludes a lot of people from the actual ceremony. To make up for it, the reception becomes a free-for-all, and yes, the guest list might include Aunt Sarah, Cousin Joe, your third-grade teacher, and the mailman. The catch? These massive receptions are typically low-budget affairs. Think church gymnasiums, potluck-style refreshments, and punch made from rainbow sherbet, Sprite, and pineapple juice, an 80s Mormon classic. Feeding hundreds of guests a full meal? That's a rare luxury unless one family happens to raise cattle or owns a catering business. But back to my Kelty. Her wedding was the kind of event you'd expect if two overly enthusiastic preteens were handed an unlimited Pinterest account and zero adult supervision. Highlights included piñatas, frisbees, handmade bouquets, and Tony's infamous tres leches cake. Oh, and let's not forget the piece de resistance, 4,000 tacos. The only thing missing was a competitive game of tag during the reception. And then there was the dancing. It wasn't so much dancing as a demolition derby in formal wear. My Kelty spent half the night trying to decide whether to keep her boobs inside her dress or save her shoulder from popping out of its socket. A graceful affair, this was not. Now, was my Kelty's rush to the altar a reaction to Madison's wedding? It's hard not to wonder. Maddie was basking in attention, and it does seem like my Kelty might have nudged Tony toward proposing for her own slice of the spotlight. As for the guest list, sure, the Browns alone are a small army, but Tony's side added a whole new dimension. With his LDS and Hispanic background, a modest gathering was never on the table. Have you ever been to a small Hispanic celebration? Exactly. A friend of mine married into a Hispanic family, and even a casual birthday party brought out 50-plus relatives. Their wedding? Over 200 guests on his side alone, and more showed up than were invited. Kody's biggest mistake, not letting Tony's family handle the food. If they had, there wouldn't have been any worry about running out. There would have been enough leftovers to feed a second wedding. I just rewatched my Kelty's wedding episode, and wow, I feel for her so much because of Kody's behavior about the cold. She wanted a few pictures outside. Reasonable enough, right? I get it, winter is cold and windy. But can't you suck it up for 10, maybe 15 minutes and take some quick photos? Seriously, Kody, I'm from California, so when I visit places like Utah, Iowa, or Colorado in the winter, the cold is not something I'm used to. Even so, if it's 40 degrees, or even 20, I'd stand there and smile through it for a few minutes. Let's not forget that Kody is the one who pushed my Kelty to have her wedding in December in the first place. Sure, she wanted it sooner, and yes, waiting might have been smarter, but come on, she was such a chill bride. All she wanted was some outdoor photos. Just put on a coat and deal with it for 10 freaking minutes. And then there's Robyn. Don't even get me started on her claiming Solomon and Ariella were sick. Did anyone else catch the previous episode when they were packing for Utah? Solomon wasn't acting sick at all, not even a sniffle. Yet, somehow, every time one of the OG kids has a big moment, Robyn's tenders suddenly come down with some mysterious illness. Trust me, rewatch the series, and you'll see it's a pattern. And let's get real. You don't get sick from cold weather, you get sick from germs. Robyn also made sure to look as miserable as possible. Cue the dramatics about how she didn't get any sleep because her precious tenders were so sick. Meanwhile, was she a single bit of help? No. Did anyone spot her sewing even one flower out of the thousands they had to make? Nope. But hey, at least she brought her pity party to the wedding. Sobbin' Robyn strikes again. Honestly, I can't with her endless tears over every single thing. After taking a long break from watching Sister Wives, I decided to dive back in, only to be greeted by Robyn's award-worthy waterworks. She's constantly playing the victim card, crying to guilt Mary into staying, crying over Janelle leaving, crying about the older kid's perfectly justified reactions to Kody. Don't even get me started on Kody. He's the poster child for how not to be a man. At first, I didn't get why everyone called her sobbin' Robyn, but oh, it's crystal clear now. And let's not overlook her kids. They've mastered the art of melodrama too. That recent church episode, couldn't even get through it without cringing at their over-the-top, goofy expressions. Honestly, the whole thing was more trash than treasure. So, after digging into the fundamentalist beliefs a bit, I can't help but wonder if the whole Robyn saga is actually par for the course in these communities. Their religion hinges on men marrying at least 3 wives to secure their heavenly VIP pass. Naturally, this setup suggests the first 3 wives are more than just companions. They're practical necessities. They're the bedrock of a functioning family and a ticket to eternal salvation. You know, multitasking matrimony. But after the quota's met, well, that's when the bonus wives come into play. And I can't help but speculate. Is it common for there to be a big time gap before the husband adds a bonus? Do these extra wives conveniently appear when the guy's bored or fed up with the first 3? Are they brought in specifically when wife 1, 2, and 3 can't or won't pop out more kids? And even if those factors aren't at play, is the jealousy worse because the original wives were a package deal for everyone's salvation, while the new one is just the husband's pet project? If we're being generous for a moment, rare, I know, you could argue that the husband might feel a calling for the first 3 wives because they're essential. But wife number 4? That's less about divine inspiration and more about divine attraction. By this point, the guy's not adding wives out of duty. He's adding them because he's smitten, or at least lusting. Basically, it's less, we're building our eternal family, and more, she caught his eye at the celestial singles bar. Fans, and Christine, have said it before. Wife number 4 is when love, real, monogamous people-style love, enters the chat. Which makes me wonder if this isn't just another chapter in the typical handbook for their culture. Because let's be real, in this kind of barbaric cult, the man's celestial compass is guided by his, well, let's call it his divining rod. Wives get treated like livestock, valued for their breeding capabilities, and promptly retired to pasture when their productivity wanes. Then along comes a younger, more fertile replacement. Meanwhile, the discarded wives are supposed to smile through it all and celebrate his happiness. It's grotesque, but entirely predictable. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Take care and much love to you all.